paid my bills. I saved money. I didn't spend recklessly, and yet I think I can now confidently say that I don't think I had any freaking clue what I was doing with my money. And if you've ever felt you're doing everything right but still feel uneasy about money, this video might be for you. So let me give you some historical context on financial Hannah. I grew up in a house with a lot of kids and not the most money. We weren't poor. My parents were just raising 5 kids on one very normal income. I just remember having a clear understanding of which foods in the grocery store were for the kids of lawyers and engineers and which foods were for us. And spoiler alert, it was not Pringles like I wanted it to be. And that you only got to see the inside of a restaurant if someone else's parents took you there. I lived in hand-me-downs, and the only trips we ever took were via minivan to bunk up at Aunt Gretchen and Uncle Ralph's house for a week in Kentucky. Not knocking any of this, by the way. We love ourselves some sustainable hand-me-downs and fruit snack-fueled road trips with the sibs. But all this to say, it was deeply understood in our house that money is scarce and we just don't spend it. There are plenty of ways to have fun without spending money. There are always off-brand saltines in the back of the pantry. And by pantry, I mean over the dishwasher cabinet, because pantry's also for rich people, if you didn't know. And while these statements aren't necessarily wrong, they ingrained in me a very foundational belief: spending money, bad. So with that background, it makes sense why I picked up some ideas that felt responsible, but just weren't the whole picture. 1. I thought paying my bills on time meant I was good at money. And I mean, I'll just say it, I was kind of the auto-pay queen. Never missed a bill as far as I can remember. And that's actually extremely impressive because from the years of 2012 to 2016, I think I never actually had a real job. I just worked a fart ton of odd jobs. I babysat, house sat, pet sat, plant sat, lots of sitting really. I was a substitute preschool gymnastics teacher and a front desk temp at an eye doctor and restored poolside furniture and even had a regular house cleaning gig that doubled as my private weekly karaoke session. And yes, I did get walked in on once. And yes, it was horrifying. Now, I'm not saying paying my bills on time was me actually being bad at money. Obviously, please, friends, pay your bills on time. But I am saying that it didn't make me good at money. Just because I was never late on my rent or had my electricity shut off didn't mean I had a clue whatever the heck the rest of my money was for. I could pay all my bills on time without dipping into the red, good for me, but then kind of had a debilitating lack of clarity on when I was allowed to spend on anything else. I felt like a ton of guilt anytime I bought something not 100% necessary, almost looking over my shoulder to see who was going to be shaking their head saying, wow, and you really thought you were going to get away with this, huh? I wasn't managing my money. There was no plan or clarity on how I could actually use it. I was just happening to stay afloat each month, survive between random variable paychecks. If my car ever broke down or I was presented with some fabulous once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I would have been screwed because whatever remnants of money I had left after bills felt scarce and untouchable. No idea what it could or couldn't do for me. What I do now instead that makes me good with money, I give every dollar a job. I take a step back and I look at every expense I want to have money for, not just the bills, and give myself financial clarity on each one. Like, hey Hannah, here's $500 just for groceries each month. Buy the name brand or the cheapo stuff, I don't care. And also, let's set aside $15 for makeup every month because you know every few months you're running out of everything all at once. And hey, why not stash away $100 each month just for those future car repairs? You don't want to be caught off guard, right? 2, I thought being cheap meant I was wise. Listen, if you think my mama didn't teach me how to break down the cost of a box of crackers by the ounce, then you don't even know big families in the Midwest, okay? Brand name clothes? Scam. Food from a restaurant? Scam. My future home was gonna be a tiny home, no questions asked. Less square footage, less utilities, less space to fill with pricey furniture and decor. Now, don't ask me how this idea also aligned with my hope to have 5 kids myself one day. But I wasn't piecing that puzzle together yet. I was simply honed in on the cheapest way to do actual everything. It was like a Girl Scout badge I was going to try or die earning. I even majored in sociology in college with the intent to research the impact of brand names on our spending habits, identity, and belonging. I was so anti anything seemingly financially unnecessary, it was arguably sickening. Well, a little life and growth opened my eyes to a few things. The cheap foods are the cheapest, but they're often not the healthiest. The brand name clothes might cost twice the price, but then last 10 times as long. And sure, the dinner out might have cost $40, but it's how you finally found your friend group that's been by your side the last 10 years. What I know now? Cheap doesn't equal wise. Cheap is just a choice. If you're only ever considering price, you might be missing out on value, personal value. Thinking critically about what actually matters to you and aligning your spending with that. Now you're looking at the girl who buys organic groceries and invests extra into the more natural laundry detergent and dish soap because I learned that really mattered more to me, not saving $6 on the in-house brand. 3, I thought having savings was enough. When you first sign up at a bank, we all get the same thing. One account for checking, one account for savings. This is where you save, right? So I always made sure there was always something in savings because that's what people who are good with money do. Just one problem. I had zero clue what it was for. In fact, if it was for anything, it was just for transferring over to my checking account when that balance was getting too low. I wasn't putting money aside for anything specific like a vacation or a new car or even retirement as far as I know. I think it was like an emergency fund that even then you try not to spend. It was never growing because I was always stealing money from it to send over to my checking account. But the point was, I always had something saved for, I always had something saved, okay. But savings without an identified purpose isn't anything at all, really. It doesn't bring more comfort or clarity when you don't even know what the money's for. Because even in a true emergency, I still wasn't sure if I could spend it. It just served as my little guilt buffer, I guess. Made me feel kind of better. Now I finally know. People who are good with money make a plan for their savings just as they would their spending. Because listen, at the end of the day, all savings will eventually be spent, right? Even if it's on retirement or your kid's college fund. We have to name our savings or else we're never gonna know what it's for. Literally dividing out my savings with some specifically for travel and some for the next car and some to eventually build up income replacement. Now I know what my savings is really doing and how far my savings can actually take me. It's not just some pointless lump of untouchable cash. 4, I thought not knowing my numbers meant I was stress-free. As I was preparing for this video, I realized that I literally never knew how much money I even made at any point in my life until I was offered this job at YNAB. And even after accepting this job, I only really knew the salary number before taxes and insurance and 401k contributions for the longest time. I mean, I suppose at one brief moment in time each year while preparing taxes, I got to see how much I made that year, but that annual glimpse was all I had and it was quickly forgotten. I just thought if I don't look too closely at my money, I won't stress about it. And since my account isn't at zero, I must be doing fine because it was the people who were financially stressed that knew exactly how much they made and exactly how much they spent, right? If you're not stressed about money, you don't even have to think about it, right? Because it's not a problem for you, right? Well, turns out I wasn't calm because I was confident. I was calm because I was clueless. This habit feels peaceful, but it's passive. Now I know. Avoiding my numbers didn't make me stress-free, it just delayed the stress and made it even more expensive later. Example A coming up in T-2 minutes. And 5, I thought I was only bad with money when things went wrong. Hilariously, it's actually when I got this job at YNAB that my whole financial approach to money flipped, and not initially for the better, like you'd think. I went from penny pinching odd jobber to boss babe with a salary, and I freaking ran with that dog. New all matching bedroom furniture for my 2-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom townhome with a garage. I adopted a dog. I started going on genuine shopping sprees, like $500 on clothes at a time, but it was okay because it was on sale. Guys, jeez, calm down. I started to drive through Dunkin', Chipotle, Starbucks, Sonic, sweet Sonic. Basically, my brain heard salary and thought, I've made it, I can finally spend. And my account still wasn't hitting zero, I was still good. Now, somewhere in here, I also got my first credit card, which also responsible me putting off getting a credit card, so I thought. 0% APR for the first 12 months. 12 months, you guys. You know when I learned that it was 12 months? At 16 months, after I racked up $4,000 in credit card debt without even knowing it. Huh? Because this isn't me, I'm good with money. I pay my bills on time, and I'm cheap. Well, I'm not really cheap anymore, but I have money in my savings account. Well, actually, no, I spent that. But I don't even stress about money like everyone else. Well, I guess I would have known this was happening if I gave my money even an ounce of my attention. So now, that's it. That's where the story ends. Turns out I was bad at money after all, and I got away with thinking I was good at it for so long. Dang. Except, now I know. Being bad at money isn't a personality trait. It's not genetic. It's not something you're just good at or just bad at. It's something I can fix, something I can learn. So I dove deep into YNAB. Yeah, even after working here for years, consider me a little late to the party, okay? I built out my custom spending plan that accounted for everything. Paying my bills on time, but also knowing how much I could spend on food and fun in the future. And yes, even planning for the bougie brand name items I had secretly always wanted but never let my penny pinching pride know about. I gave every single one of my dollars a job, even the savings ones. I knew how much I made, I knew how much I could spend on this and that and the other thing, and things just kind of naturally stopped going wrong. Now, it's not like the car stopped breaking down or I never got hit with a massive vet bill ever again, but those things stopped being surprises. I was ready for them. I had car repair money when the car needed patching up. I had money for traveling when my best friend's bachelorette party was overnight and out of state. And I knew when it was time to slow my roll on eating out for the month. Less went wrong because for once, I finally had clarity. I had a plan before the crisis hit. I didn't have to be cheap. I didn't have to turn a blind eye. I finally had a grip. Oh, and I paid off that credit card debt too. So yeah, I was bad at money, but now I can confidently say, was. Right now, I think I'm pretty good at money. And when things start to roll away I wasn't planning, I have the tools to roll with the punches and just ride the waves of life. If you're new to me or YNAB or this channel, might I just say, it's okay if you've ever been worried about money. It's probably just because, well, you've been bad at money. I know I sure was. But with YNAB, you can get good with money and never have to worry again. If you want clearer priorities and a way to make money decisions easier and a more confident yes when it comes to spending that matters, it's not too late for you. You're not behind. And you know what? Try it with no commitment at ynab.com/Hannah. If you sign up for a trial with YNAB, you'll be able to use the whole app and all its tools completely free for 34 days. Live a whole month and then some the YNAB way and just see where it takes you. Might just turn out you've had a money pro inside you this whole time. Yeah, this was actually really fun and freeing and kind of therapeutic. So I guess, what money lies have you believed? What made you used to think you were good at money? And what do you know to be true now? Share down in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out with me today. We're all growing one day at a time. I hope you have a positively wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next video. All right, the babysitter canceled this morning and there's a baby right there. So, this is awesome. You are so cute and squeaky. You're doing so good, baby.